I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Take your plans out of the group chat and get long weekend ready in new Abercrombie. From day to night, pack new outfits for every part of your itinerary. Grabbing brunch? Throw on the A&F Mila dress. Then head to your dinner reservation in their new bubble hem mini dress. And yes, permission to overpack for pics with the girls. Abercrombie's best-selling Scarlet Squirt deserves a post in your feed. Your plans are worth it. Shop Abercrombie's new long weekend collection online or in store.
Business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live full service.
My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the KC Soccer Journal. We are doing this digitally. I've got a full screen of people. The full lineup of Shades of Blue analysts are here. My name is Cody Bradley, Thad Bell, Robert Russert.
Carrie Robinson.
I was about to say her name in the thing. Carrie Robinson and David Greenwald. Welcome all. Thank you for joining in spite of the current state of soccer in our city and our country. Everything sucks right now. Sporting is falling worse and worse. The Comets are bad. The U.S. men's national team is somehow worse after hiring the most sought-after coach on the planet. Everything is going poorly right now. Thankfully, we have the current keeping things in it. Is that why your name in the chat here is just Thad is currently?
Yes.
With nothing else? Okay, so you're just feeling very currently right now.
Everything else is just little dots after that at this point.
Are we going to have to all change our names to remain sporting fans? Is that going to be a thing?
I'm sticking strong. with my boring name here. David, you were bored at the game. Is that what this was? David was bored.
David was very bored at the game.
Okay. I think we're going to end up kind of talking about the state of the team and Peter Vermes a little bit, but I do want to actually hear your guys' thoughts on the game. So let's start with you, David.
We sucked. It was really, 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 really not fun to watch. LAFC was boring. We were boring. The referee was boring.
Now that right there is the analysis that I was looking for.
I mean, look, it would have been more fun to watch us just get massacred and have them put 7 past us. It was.
I think the team needs that. They need to be spanked in the ass at the moment.
It was awful. So first goal comes, Jake Davis got just scorched by David Martinez, who then, I don't know the last time I saw a ball kick that hard. But he just smoked that thing past Pool's Camp. Second goal came off a set piece. Pool's Camp had a nice save, but spilled a rebound.
By the way, going back to that first goal, we spent some time last week giving Pool's Camp credit for this move right here, flexing that arm and getting his hand right up next to the side of his head to stop a ball near post. And that is exactly where that ball flew right past, 6 inches past his head. Didn't get his hand up that time.
I would love to see you stand in goal and let David Martinez rocket a ball at you like that.
No,
that thing had
was,
some heat behind it.
Yeah, it did. That was a well taken goal. It wasn't that close to Pulscamp's head either, but near post. I mean, come on, isn't that the rule of thumb where if a keeper gets beat near post, you weren't supposed to get beat near post, right?
Yes.
I mean, I guess that, so there wasn't a whole lot that Sporting did that was particularly interesting. Shappy had a penalty, then VAR called it off. There was
that was fair.
There were like two nice plays. There was like a long diagonal switch that was kind of interesting for a second. And Manu had a nice shot at the end of the first half.
Exactly. That was the one thing that I could really think of was a moment from Manu.
Not a whole lot of good stuff. The only thing, there were two parts that I found somewhat interesting of this game. The first of which is that the team looked like they came out in a double pivot, like they inverted the midfield triangle with Manu playing ahead of Radia and Memo, except it like very frequently did not end up looking like that. Weirdly enough, in the attack. So like in defense, Memo was ahead of them, but when we were playing the build-up, Memo kept dropping between the center backs, but he wasn't getting the ball. So it wasn't like he was dropping deep to get the ball and then try to progress the ball. He was just dropping deep, and then we had two defensive midfielders playing. At one point, Memo was playing on the wing. That we were like playing like 4 or 5 up top. It was very peculiar. It very obviously did not work. The only other thing that was even remotely interesting about the game, give me 1 second, we'll go to Robert. But the only other thing that was even had the tiniest bit of interest to me, at halftime, MLSsoccer.com had Sporting with 73% possession, but FootMob had LAFC with 60% possession. And those numbers were so wildly different.
Yeah, that's not normal.
In a night without a whole lot to like keep you going, that was what I latched onto.
You're just a math nerd, like a stats nerd. Why are these two sources different?
Why are these two numbers so different?
That's the state of a soccer fan right now. Thad, what do you got? He's
just to chime in on that.
He was raising his hand very politely. I had to go to him.
Yeah, because we have 5 people on a StreamYard. It's not as easy to just interrupt and talk over people, so I was trying to be good.
Well done.
In the past, I've noticed some very huge discrepancies between different stat places on possession, and I've asked this question at least 24 times to people that work for MLS. I even asked like Weeby, I DM'd him, can you find out why you have way different stat numbers than other places? And he fucking ignored me. Wanker.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen.
It pisses me off, in case you can't tell. But at one point, the best I had from somebody was possession can be counted in different ways, as in the amount of time or the amount of passes. If you look at the pass percentages versus something else, sometimes it shows up as almost the exact. So if you like add 1,000 passes for this team and 500 for that team, it'll show them as having 2/3 possession versus 1/3 possession. And some of it is literally the amount of time that you're like running around with the ball. So I don't know the answer to your question. I'm just going to throw you out more questions to your question.
Well, this is going to make it even less clear, because MLS had, after we dominated possession second half, because all LAFC did is sit back, we ended up with 53% possession. So how does that work?
Robert, it works the same as Sporting's offense. Nobody knows.
Right. But it doesn't work. So.
There's that guy. Do you guys ever see the guy in the press box with the tablet in front of him, and he's doing all of the live stats, like who's got the ball in this moment? I've always wanted to go talk to that guy, but I'm afraid, because I think he has a very important job. I think he's the one touching all of these buttons and sending the information out to the various stats people. So I'm kind of.
Well, I think we found the problem if one person is doing all the stats.
Well,
that
yeah,
may be an issue.
I remember years ago, someone in a stadium in England saw a guy with he was literally holding an Xbox controller watching a game in the stadium, and he's looks like he's trying to play the game while watching. That was their input. They use he hits the X button and it does that, and so it's kind of interesting. I looked at the screen. He's got both teams on it. Like one half of the screen is for Sporting, one half of the team is the other. Very intrigued by this. I'm going to have to ask this guy. And maybe he can give us the answer of what he's doing wrong, why FootMob and MLS are so far off. Robert, I wanted to hear your thoughts on what David was saying about the midfield, this experimentation or kind of confusion in the midfield.
Yeah, it was odd, like David was saying. The idea of Manu receiving the ball between the center backs and just being not even in the final third receiving the ball a whole lot of times was very peculiar. And to me, I just have to laugh at the idea of Memo being any part of a double pivot and playing his defensive role appropriately. But yeah, we're not running the ball through the middle. I went into the rewatch of the game thinking, yeah, we're really focusing on play out wide on the wings. We're doing the underlap, overlap thing and trying to cross, hit the end line. But then when on the rewatch, I realized, we were kind of not doing that as much as we usually do. So we were trying to send the ball a little bit more through the midfield, a little bit, more direct as well. So that was perhaps slightly encouraging, but we ended up with 2 shots on goal. So ain't a whole lot working out there.
And only one of those came in stoppage time.
Yeah, right.
Well,
stoppage time in the first half too.
Yeah.
They have those periods where they seem to just kind of click on and things work, but the rest of the game it's not working. Thad, Jansen Miller was on the field in this one. What did you think of his performance? I saw on that first goal, he made a play to gain possession and then held on to it a little too long and made a very bad pass, and then 2 seconds later they scored that first goal. But what did you think of his overall performance?
I thought overall he did really well, quite honestly. Again, he's a rookie, coming out of college. It's a huge step up. But as we saw in spring training, he looked good. If he didn't have a back spasm, he might have been out there playing against Messi in those games. I just thought, he looked good. He's not, I would prefer him not be a starter right at this moment, but at the same time, I don't know who I would prefer to be a starter at this moment.
Trending up for you? Is that a trending up? We did this last week. A few players trending up and down. Is Jansen Miller on his way up?
Yeah, and I got crap for our who we were trending up and down stuff last week, but that's fine.
Good.
Yeah, Jansen trending up, sure.
Yeah, did people not like that I put Radoya in there?
Yeah, because he actually defensively had a good game statistically.
Yeah, he did.
I just didn't feel like he showed up in the rest of the game. But
he had good numbers, and that's why in that thing I didn't actually go into the numbers. It was just more about the state of him fighting off a youngster. But when I was doing that, I felt like I had to follow what we had talked about on the podcast. I didn't want to just make up new ones. And you offered no rebuttal to Carrie and I being disappointed by Radoya last week. So that's why that was in there. And again, you got to give a reason for people to comment, for people to click, for people to talk. So,
hey, are we doling out fines this year?
Depends on who you want to fine right now.
you, Cody.
Well, our number 6, what's his name?
Radoya? Did I say because I said Radoya?
Yeah, like 6 times.
Okay.
Find one name you can say, and you'll always use it. Nemanja.
All right, David, you missed last week. Who do you have trending up or down?
I really hate to say this, but I have Jake trending down after a pretty rough night at the office for him last night.
Not a good game for him.
Not his best. But, Martinez is a handful for anybody. He's so fast. But Jake got skinned a bunch of times. Trending up, Decky looked like he did some interesting things a couple times. He needs service, like, real bad.
Yeah. Thad, who do you got?
Can I pass on the rest?
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Thad, who did you like or dislike?
Well, we already went with Jansen for like.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't want to beat up on Jake, but he didn't have a good night. I mean, we still know that's not his best spot to be. Let's see who did some. I mean, Shoppy kind of was level because we kind of focused a lot on the 3 new people. We have to vote.
It was such a boring game, as David said, that we can't even come up with anyone who did anything particularly good or bad. Carrie, can you please lay into a player for us?
I have a trending down, and that's Robert Villader. I just feel like I went back and I tried to watch the replay because, I was in the cauldron. Couldn't see too much on that second. No, it wasn't even a goal. It was just kind of a chance that any other time probably would result to a goal. It was just, an LAFC player was just like left top of the box, unmarked, pretty lucky. There's just like the 17th, 18th minute.
I know the exact play you're talking about.
There was that.
Me too.
And then there was another one where it felt like even the commentators was like, it feels like Sporting Kansas City is a man down.
Yes.
And I feel like Ndembe had a person behind him that he could track back, at least knew where he was, or in front of him. And that should have been probably Volodaire's person. And so then that just left a person on the backside completely empty.
That play you're talking about in the 17th minute, that was the one right before their first goal. It was they left that guy wide open and then did just enough to block his shot. Jansen Miller took control of it for too long, took too many touches, and then had a terrible giveaway, and then they scored right after that. But yeah, that guy was wide open. It just looked like the four on the back line weren't sure of what area that they needed to cover, who that they needed to cover, or they just lost him entirely. And yeah, like you said, that announcer mentioned was ragging on the team again. This is twice this season. The team has been so poor that an announcer who, it has to be bad for an announcer to say something like that. They're always trying to remain partial. They look for good things to say. They're rarely openly negative on a team, and it's happened twice to us so far. And it did look like they were playing a man down, the way everyone was just having to dart across to cover this guy, and everyone was open, and it was a really ugly game.
Yeah, that was only like 10 minutes later after that instance after the goal. Volodaire was just trying to play deep, and literally just if he was trying to keep someone on sides, which he was, but no one was around him.
Cody, one of the reasons LA was open whenever they wanted to be, they move the ball so much faster than Sporting does. Mm-hmm. We are so slow in the build-up. And that's part of why we don't get any shots off either, is that there's no incisive passing. Guys aren't making good runs. And our most creative players playing between the center backs.
Yeah, there needs to be another playmaker, another creator, someone who has that ability in the midfield. I think that's where it gets lost. They can't move it from the back up to the front very quickly because they just don't have that facilitator other than Manu. And like you said, he was playing between the center backs.
Well, that takes technical players. And, going back to David's point, LAFC have very technical players, and Sporting is very limited in their stock on that. Matter of fact, it might be on back order. But that is the difference between that and those little spaces and those tight spaces. And also that relates to vision. If you're a technical player, you have your head up more often and you can see the field a little bit quicker.
One of the things I was sitting there last night, because as everybody knows, I'm doing photos, so I have limited views, and I stop shooting just so I can watch a little bit, so I can make judgments. But at one point, I'm sitting there looking, and all these LA players look big and strong and fast and passing and technical ability and dribbling and fighting for balls, and Sporting players, while some of them were doing all that stuff, it just really felt like LA bought from a good deluxe store, and we got from Temu.
Right. Yeah.
Don't we say this every week? Last week it was Minnesota looks so much bigger and so much faster than us.
Yeah.
Well, any team with Shoppy and Manu has to be small. I mean, that just brings the average way down. Last night was in the locker room. We talked to Manu for a little bit, and damn, that guy is tiny. I just didn't realize.
He's got a big heart. He's got a big heart.
And this is not judgmental that he can't play, because you don't have to be big to be a great player.
Lionel Messi.
He's got big hair.
And that adds an inch or two to him. Shoppy probably looks smaller because he doesn't have that hair, but man, I don't know. Anyway, it's not judgmental on body size or shaming, but it's just not enough. It's like a Temu version.
Shoppy kind of slouches. He's got those shoulders. He's like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, you put Rosero and Fernandez back on our back line. Our back line grows a little bit, at least in thickness and things like that. But
phrasing. I'm very much looking forward to either Brody or Shelton being healthy enough to play, because it is so clear. Jake is a serviceable right back. He was good last year. He's not as good so far through 5 games this year.
He's a fill-in.
Jake needs to be in the midfield, and Jake is more of a destroyer than like a shuttler who can like progress the ball forward really quickly, but he's got more of that in his bag than Radia or Memo have.
You were just about to say Radoya. You were. I saw it.
So close. I got so close.
Yo, you did, man. You went and you stopped. So
no.
In defense of Cody, man, I got to give you crap. Sorry.
I'm taking back the Venmo that I sent to the Fine Journal.
Hold on. I didn't complete the mispronunciation though. I corrected myself. You said it with your full chest, Cody, like you're an expert.
And like 4 times too.
And, I know Vermes' hands are tied, injuries, things like that. Brody comes in and he gets injured right away, right? Shelton's been recovering for a while. But we've been talking about that same idea for weeks here, and if that's what needs to happen, you just have to make it happen. Like somebody said in our Slack, okay, put Miller in the right, put James on the right as a right back. I don't care who it is, get Jake in the midfield. It's got to be done. And that's just down to coaching. And Cody, I don't want to scuttle what we're going to talk about later, but trending down, Peter Vermes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Can I give a Shelton update?
Yes, please.
Sure.
I had talked to him last night and just said, hey, how you doing? I said, good to see you out there, and hopefully you can be out there for a lot longer next time. I said, you're getting close to 90. He goes 60. So okay. I said, we need it.
That's all they played when they return anyway from an injury. They only play 60 anyway. One thing I wanted to talk about, and we're just going to do it now before I forget. So Thad is known in our Slack for he's got something to say, but he uses this shorthand that just does not translate to me. I don't know if it's an age gap or what. He's too busy to say his full thoughts, so he sends
you guys the same age. What are you talking about?
Whoa. So he ends up sending these very cryptic messages, and he sent one that I wasn't sure what it was, but Carrie, I think, deciphered it properly, and it's kind of an interesting story that I think a lot of people in American soccer care about.
And she's the farthest away from my advanced age, and she gets it. It's not an age thing.
I got
it's an
it.
Intelligence thing.
I just didn't. I had missed the story that you were referencing, so it made no sense to me. Carrie.
So 4 out of 5 got it.
I think that we should also add that we ask Thad to clarify things. And then
he doesn't.
He throws his phone in the Missouri River and just doesn't reply.
I'm in the midst of a game going on. I was at the Comets game. So like a couple comments like during, some break, but I'm hoping for something at the Comets game. I'm hoping for one other team in the area to do something, and I'm trying to get a shot of it or at least a fight or something. But no. So I throw this out there thinking, we just had this mentioned the day before that, whatever it was. It was not very long ago.
Okay.
Me, in my advanced age, knew it, and yet you guys go, "What the hell did that mean?"
Okay.
Who broke the story to the Slack? Who mentioned that before?
I don't know that that's worthy of getting credit, David.
Oh,
Carrie,
okay.
can you just tell us what we're talking about here?
MLS may be dropping Adidas in the year 2030 when the contract is up.
Yes, that is news. Welcome news to many soccer fans. Adidas has kind of been known for their cookie cutter templates that they use all across the world. Jerseys are maybe not as fun as they used to.
Nike does it too.
Nike does it too. Everybody does do this. But Thad, where do you stand on this idea of dropping Adidas?
I'm good with it. I don't like Nike, but do a deal that is hopefully worth more money and a little more creative control, and I'm good with it.
More creative control sounds good, but I don't know that Nike does that. Is that the only who are our options here? We drop Adidas, you can go to Nike or Puma.
So the story was broken by Footy Headlines, and the options right now on the table are a league-wide deal with Nike or, and this is the part that I thought was interesting, allowing the individual teams to find their own supplier.
Okay.
So
which
Nike
would mean you have Nike, Adidas, Macron, Puma.
Fan-sided, if you're Major League Baseball, that worked out well for them.
Yeah, what's
Not
the
fan-sided? I said that wrong. That's another website.
Fanatics.
There you go. Thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry.
Who does Venezia use?
I don't know. Ooh, they probably do it on their own. I don't know how MLS, the single entity league, would do that if they're all operating in these individual contracts on their own. That does seem like not a viable option, and I would expect Nike to get this contract.
It seems very anti-MLS to go
Yeah.
everyone individualized. I don't really like Nike jerseys compared to Adidas.
Yeah.
Just from the NWSL having Nike, I think that is a worse quality of jersey to have when you spend $200 on a kit.
Yep.
But
David, did you find the kit provider for Venezia?
Nocta?
Drake's brand, yes.
Okay. Well, they're worse because
Good job, Robert.
Venezia used to have some killer kits, and
Yeah.
this year's are not great.
So that's a Nike offshoot co-created and fronted by Drake.
Okay. Well, I'm Team Kendrick, so
Yeah. I was just about to say that.
maybe that's why they're about to get relegated to Series C.
Dang, are they really?
Under Armour could get in there. You know, there are options.
There are options. I still like the idea of a league-wide kit, just a league-wide deal, because you can have a little better revenue sharing type of stuff, because it does help all the teams in that regard. Even if one team, it's a closed league, man. That's where it works.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Wait, hold on. There's one more. Who makes Forward Madison's kits? Because they have some killers.
Oh yeah. I mean, is that USL?
Yeah.
Does USL not have a league-wide deal? I would assume they would.
Well, they were USL 1. I don't know if that made a difference.
Okay, well.
Go
ahead.
I did hear another little bit of news last night. This is the last year of Children's Mercy Park.
Really?
I am not going to even allude to who told me this, but it's not a 100% known fact, but I bet if we went back and looked, Children's Mercy did sign a certain amount of year deal.
Yeah.
And we just all forgot about it. It's probably the truth.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to do that, but I was just talking to somebody and they said, yeah, this is the last year for Children's Mercy Park to be on something. And I went, oh, cool.
Well, that would just seem to indicate that they are in talks with another one and that they're not renewing. So it does sound like it's changing.
Bring back Live Strong.
Live Strong Park.
Live Strong.
Yeah. The KC Soccer Journal is going to sponsor the stadium.
Hell yes.
It's because the sponsorship
Dark
deal
days indeed.
It's got to be worth at least $100, right?
All right, David, you find that out. You find that out while we're on break.
They're going to get relegated to Serie B.
Okay.
And then Forward Madison is Hummel, and these kits are fire. I would rock one of these.
Well, they've also got pink. Like they just have good colors, so they're gonna start from a good point.
These are so much better than anything we've got.
David's going to be the Sporting KC version of Chiefsaholic.
I'm going to rob a bank.
Another bank.
I'm going to wear a gorilla costume and then rob a couple banks.
All right, we'll be right back. All right. Dark days, everyone, for Sporting Kansas City. It was the first offseason for Mike Burns. We knew this was going to be a rebuild. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I think things are going worse than we were expecting so far. So is this the players? Do we not have the players? Robert, I'm going to ask you this. Is it the players? Did Mike Burns fail this offseason, or is this on Peter?
Well, let's talk about who Burns has brought in. So you got Manu, not a fail. Shoppy, you can't judge him 5 games in, so let's not even do that. Jensen Miller, that's been good. Some other younger guys that have shown okay. So I don't think it's that.
Well, it's also who he got rid of too, right?
Right, but the tactics stay the same no matter if they're here or not.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's more of a tactical thing. Whether it's we're not getting the players that fit the system or we're not playing the system that best suits our players, it's a toss-up. So it seems to be that they're forcing these guys to play in the 4-3-3 and play the same predictable way, even though there's been some subtle differences. Let's give them that credit. But to me, it boils down to tactics and the way the players are being told to play.
Thad, we have for several years talked about how Peter Vermes, the manager, seems to have done well with the ragtag team that Peter Vermes, the technical director, put together. Where are you standing on this right now? I know he's obviously not getting the most out of the team, but is it the team or is this tactical like Robert is saying?
I do think that Peter tries to use the same general tactics too much, although there's a lot more variations and subtleties than people give him credit for. And I know it's easy to be really down on, 5 games in and they suck. And I don't want to be in another one of those situations a couple years ago where it takes 10 games to finally do something.
And if you look at the schedule, I that might happen. If they don't win against Dallas, they're in trouble.
Who's after that? Who's after Dallas?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was looking at this.
Somebody bad, somebody good, somebody dangerous.
It's
St. Louis, Portland, San Jose, Cincinnati.
Oh my God, you guys! Is the St. Louis game? Is that going to be 75% red in that stadium?
Pink, but yes.
Pink, yeah.
Yeah, 50% of pink. Yeah, probably.
I am not going to be looking forward to that. The Cauldron isn't loud anymore. They're going to get drowned out by the other fans. I'm really not looking forward to that game.
Cauldron might get up for that. I mean, they kind of sometimes rise to the occasion.
There will be people, yeah. The fans that are going to go are going to all be in the Cauldron. So I think the Cauldron will be fairly packed, but the rest of that stadium is going to be more red than we've seen in the past, I think.
I do have an idea, though. I think we should start like a toasted ravioli concession out in the parking lot. With like tranquilizers stuff.
I was gonna say, are you gonna say we should poison them? Is that where that was going?
Not kill. I mean, but if they kind of are a little, diminished in their enthusiasm, as in they fall face first going down the stairs to
just like some Ambien. We can put some Ambien.
That's putting cyanide in that shitty square cracker pizza.
I was going to mention that, David, but yeah.
Carrie, where do you stand on all of this? Are you pointing the finger at Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else other than Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
It's something we see this every year for the last 3 years. Which, sure, it's not the worst because we've had so many years of good teams and stuff like that. But when you hit this downfall, man, it hurts.
And it's just the question of how long. If it continues like this and they go another where the record is 1-9-1 and how long does this have to continue like this where Peter Vermes is legitimately on the hot seat and there's pressure for his job?
Here's where Peter gets us every year. We start out against a great team and we get a draw. Maybe a 1-0 loss.
Yes, there's a hard-fought draw.
That's where the hope is.
Yes,
that's
every
where the hope
year.
is. So it was Inter Miami this year, and we were like, all right, if we're playing this good against Messi, then we got to be okay. And then we're just not.
And we had the fight back from 3 down draw to give us a little bit of hope. Yeah, you're so right about that. That just carries us the next few months where we're disappointed, and then they'll have another one of these games, and we'll be disappointed again. Vicious cycle.
Well, last year we did end up with 6 points in the first 5 games, so that was an improvement, but obviously negative improvement this year.
Well, we're just continuing where we left off. It's not like the same 10 games last year is the same 10 this year. We're just continuing where they left off. They were terrible towards the end of the year. It was always like, well, we're just building towards, we're almost there. We just got to stop making mistakes. We just got to have a little more energy, enthusiasm, mentality, other word that insert here that we hear quite often that I don't remember right now. And it'll all be better because we'll play harder and not make mistakes. But a lot of the same guys are still making mistakes. A lot of the mentality is still, I don't know. I mean, I will ask this question. Do you feel like they didn't try in this last game?
No. Of all the games so far? Yes.
That was probably one of the worst ones. Yes, I would say. I don't know that I would say they didn't try, but it's maybe one of the worst ones. Because it doesn't matter how good of a coach Peter is, can be, will be in the future. If you can't keep your players playing hard because they have some hope, And then, and as fans, yes, it's the hope that kills you because you just want something to happen. You like, oh, they just almost did something. It was just, it was just off the crossbar. It was just 2 inches wide of the post. It was just an inch off of a pass. It was somebody shooting straight up instead of tapping it forward, whatever. You just want something to fucking happen.
So I put it on both Vermes and the players. This roster lacks talent. Radia, not good enough at the 6. We lack depth in the midfield. I think Manu has talent, but it's 5 games and he's, not getting the ball enough in dangerous spots. But we don't get good wing play. And this is a team that plays through the wings because for years and years, we take the space that's given to us. So if you clog up the front of the box, zone 14, instead of trying to play through tight spaces, we will play it out wide and then throw crosses into the box that ultimately go nowhere. I know everybody's really high on Shappy. Shappy's not doing anything. Like, Shappy's had, I think, 6 shots total in 5 games. He's averaging 1.2 shots per game. Tommy, who has had class and quality, but he's not a 10. He's not an 8. He's
not a winger.
He's not a winger. Like, so Decky is talented and good. Manu's talented and good, but then there aren't the pieces around them to also be good. And if you look at our starting back line last night, I like Logan. He's fine. But you have a rookie in Jansen Miller. You've got Robbie Volader, who's not great. Our 2 starting caliber center backs, Joaquin and Danny, have been out. And even when they're healthy, I don't know where they slot in as a pairing league wide. I mean, like middle of the pack, maybe. Mm-hmm. But like, this team lacks players. That said, tactically, my confusion with Vermes against both Minnesota and LA is these are 2 teams that want to play on the counter. They don't want the ball. Why not force them to play with it? Right? Like,
it's not working when we're controlling the ball. So.
But we did this a few years ago against Salt Lake in the playoffs, where like they wanted to hit on the counter. It was Vancouver, I think, and we just like kicked the ball to Vancouver, and I was like, "You have it." And then Vancouver couldn't do anything with it, and then we were hitting them on the counter. The most dangerous play we had was a long diagonal switch, I think, from Jake on a counter. So I don't know why tactically Vermes wanted to play with the ball as much as we did instead of just hoofing it to them, playing compact. Martinez can't get in behind Jake if we are playing, compact defensive lines. But instead we let ourselves get stretched out. It didn't make a lot of sense.
That I think at the beginning of the year, you had said that Peter is going to have this job for the year. This is a rebuilding year. It's going to be his job, and maybe if at the end of the year it was that bad, then they might have a decision to make. But if it continues like this, is there a absolute rock bottom of how bad this team is this year that they actually do have to make the choice on Peter Vermes?
Yeah, I think there is, yeah. And I just want to kind of add on to what David was saying just a second ago. Joveljic is built for the counter. I mean, maybe not the full field running thing, but if you can have the ball at midfield and play him through, he's going to be good on that if you can do that. So he would be excellent you could sit back and just play balls to him and let him take on somebody. So yeah, I agree with the tactics could have been better. And we do still have to remember this is a rebuild year, but is Peter treating it like a rebuild year? Bartlett was playing early, but hasn't been because they've sent down to SKC2 because they needed bodies. Mm-hmm. Ian James hasn't played because, well, he's 16 and he's now with the U17 men's team. Stuff like that. Is he playing those people to give the chance for the rebuild, for the younger kids to learn and stuff and be really good maybe for next year? He's always going to be in that dichotomy of you want to rebuild, you want to like let people learn, but you always got to win. And he's even said he's in the rebuild and he's got to do some of that, but that's never been his forte. Which is why he had to let people like Johnny and Tim go, because he's always going to look to them and say, oh, he can win me this game over John, or Johnny can help me win this game over insert whoever might play a wing position someday person. So they had to let those guys go. But now can he make use of the rebuild? Can he do the rebuild? I don't know.
Well, I think it's a really interesting point that if he was doing that, it's almost like you would give him a little more leeway. Like, okay, this is a rebuilding year. He's playing all of these young guys. That's why we're not getting results. And but if he's not going to do that, then maybe this is on him.
Well, yet another example, and maybe Afrifa, him and Vargas were buddies. Maybe Afrifa got into bad habits hanging with Vargas, and that's why Vargas was let go. We don't know. But where's Afrifa been? Okay, we're going to stick with Tommy because he can win us this game. There's no Afrifa.
Yeah, I thought he was going to come in last night because I thought I saw him walking over at one point. But I don't know if he came over walking like he was going in and something changed, or I saw somebody else.
Does
And
this
Afrifa fits that counterattacking style too. So
does this also trickle down into what SKC2 is doing? Because if they need bodies so bad, and they're taking our guys as supposed to be part of the rebuild, then it's an overall, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, SKC2 is definitely on the a trickle down effect of this whole year with changing coaches, with Mr. Burns focusing on getting players for the first team, them not getting enough players for the 2 team, which they want to fill in as much as possible with academy kids and give them chances. So fully expect SKC2 to suck most of the year, because
they suck most of every year. They haven't been good in 4 years, 5 years.
Yes, but it's the more you focus on the kids, the more likely you're to have that struggle. St. Louis City too, which they just lost to tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They had more older guys. I'm not saying they don't have some academy kids in there, but I know they had more older guys to be in there.
SKC2 was decent in 2023, right?
Trying to remember. Decent,
Fellhaber had a good first year, I thought, right?
Even last year, they were just out of the playoffs. They were just out of it, and it kind of came down to one mistake on the goalie who let the ball through his legs. And the year before they made the playoffs, they were good. They made the playoffs. They got to pick their own opponent, and they picked a higher seeded opponent because they thought they could knock them off at home, and they screwed up. So,
and David, going back to your comments about letting the other team have the ball, it was in St. Louis, obviously, in the playoffs 2023 that we let them do that. But Peter is always going to be the one that's going to follow. If you're at home, you're pushing the game, you're trying to entertain your fans, you're trying to score goals, I would hell freezing over if he's going to let the other team have the ball at home.
Yeah, he's done it a few times, but it's much more rare. I totally agree.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get it. I understand how most home teams play with the ball. They want to entertain their fans, but what's really entertaining?
That's not a problem anymore. If they're not there, you can't entertain them. You just focus on getting a result.
But you know what's super entertaining? Winning.
Mm-hmm. No matter how it's done, right?
Way more entertaining than what I watched last night.
My friends were in the Cauldron, and I felt like they were entertaining everyone else around them more than the game itself.
Like we were actually watching the Cauldron more than the game.
Well, we were dressed up as the chemist.
People watching at games is often more fun than the actual game. All right, final thoughts on Peter Vermes. Has anyone got the countdown clock going for him? Is he on the hot seat for you?
It's a different podcast.
Okay.
I mean, I would think they has to be on some of a hot seat. Just, again, because
not a hot seat. He's just the seat he's sitting on has a warming feature.
Yeah, because again, we expect there to be struggles with a rebuild, blah 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 blah, yada yada. But how many days, how many games do ownership give him before they say you should have accomplished something better by now?
Okay, here's another way to ask this question: is it going to continue like this, or are they going to start getting some results?
Well, there was a stat that was thrown out by the commentators, and it doesn't seem accurate because they said the 7th different lineup in, for this season, and 41 straight different lineups in 41 games. Okay, what does that tell you? That there's no consistency, no continuity between what we're trying to do out there? I mean, you don't see that in other teams. It's just not normal.
No, it is not normal.
Yeah, in some fairness, though, Peter traditionally has been, and I think he even mentioned it when we interviewed him in preseason about how he will run out the same lineup all the time. He loves to have consistency. If a team goes out, if one lineup goes out and plays decent, he's probably going to put him out the next time. And you've seen in the past, he will run out the exact same guys. So it's not that he doesn't want to. It's that those guys have either been unavailable for injuries or they've played so bad he couldn't put them back out there, or call-ups or whatever. So it's not that he doesn't want to. I'll defend him on that one.
What do you think?
Well, I'm going to argue that his choice of center back, trying to figure out the center back position, which has been going on for years, trying to figure out what the best midfield mix is, which has been going on for years. It's got to stop. It's got to change. It's got to be better.
Find the players. That's the problem.
Exactly. How come you can't do that?
That's why they brought in Mr. Burns.
Yeah, well, I hope.
Oof. It seems bleak right now.
I mean, I'm as down on this team, and Vermes as a person is it's not about that at all.
Right.
It's about just history. Right. You got to look at the history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we'll be right back. Carrie's name in this chat is VAR because the Current got a 2-0 win, and I think won 3 different VAR challenges. We're all of a sudden a fan of VAR when it works for us, huh?
It's true. This game was quite literally the opposite of the Sporting game. It was not boring. We won VAR. There were goals. Yeah.
Wow, there were goals?
There were goals.
God, the Current scored goals, huh?
The Current scored, Washington Spirit scored, and then didn't score. That was one of the VARs. But I watched the replay of the game earlier today since I was at the Sporting game, and it was really fun. I kind of talked last week that I was worried about the defense. Defense really stepped it up this game, I felt.
It's a little bit weaker Spirit team, though, than has been some years. And Trini Robin came on in the 60th minute, somewhere around there. Immediately scored and then got unscored by VAR. But
is Trinity hurt?
I think she's coming back from. I don't know if it's a leg issue or back spasms, which she's had in the past.
Yeah, I don't know which it is, but she didn't start because she's not 100%. So they brought her in the second half to try to get the goal.
She's part of the new sports power couple in our country. She has a new boyfriend. You guys know about this? Carrie's, you do? You're in on the gossip? Who's her boyfriend?
Yeah. Well, I don't actually know. I know that he is an tennis athlete, but I don't follow tennis, so I don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't follow tennis either. But yeah, Ben Shelton. I know he's a likable tennis player. So
that's Kyrie's brother.
Yeah.
I saw the name and I didn't know that he was a tennis player, and I was like, oh, it's just some country music star.
Guys, I think I'm going out on a limb here. I think Tim Chawinga is going to be very good this year.
Whoa,
man! I know. Bold prediction.
She's still rocking the teal hair for this game too.
Yeah.
Good. I hope that stays.
She's so cool.
I love so
watching
cool.
her play. She's just so cool.
Yeah, man. Love it. We're lucky to have her here. Hit the jackpot.
So speaking of NWSL and goals, did you guys catch that screamer by Jordan Bugg, I don't know,
Wow.
Seattle defender, about 28 yards out? It was crazy.
Yeah, I did. Great goal. And you probably just shouldn't have attempted that last name. You should.
How do you pronounce it? Help me out here.
I have no idea how you say it, but it was a great goal.
Yes, it was. And she's 18.
I took Jordan Bugg off of my fantasy roster literally hours before that happened.
Of course you did. There we go. Damn. See, that's how you say it, Robert. Jordan Bugg. Come on.
I'm pretty sure it's Bug.
Or just go with Jordan.
I was thinking, but I figured, right? Bugg.
You pronounce it Radia.
There you go.
All right, I see how it is, Thad. How are the Comets doing? What's the latest update with the Comets? Things don't appear to be going well.
Yeah, they've not played well for a few games now. They are suffering a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
But they did get screwed by a non-VAR in I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
It should have been a VAR, but it wasn't.
Well, the problem is they did VAR it,
Oh.
even though there wasn't. In MASL, you can throw a challenge flag to have something reviewed.
Yes.
If you win it, you can get the flag back. But if you lose it, you don't get the flag back, right? But both teams had used their flag, and it was in the last 4 seconds that the Comets tied up the game, and they would have gotten a minimum of 1 point going into overtime. However, the referees decided to just review it on their own, which they are allowed to do.
Oh, okay.
And then they went over and said, you know what? We never see this ball actually hit a hand, but we're going to call it a handball and take the goal away.
Wow.
You can review that play. There's no point that you can see a ball hit a hand at all. So they totally got screwed on that. And then they lost tonight. They started off bad. And
it's a weird little in-between rule. NFL has that right now too, where the coaches have those challenges, but then the refs can just decide. Like even if no one throws a flag, they can just be like, "Oh well, we're gonna look at this one again," and then change their call. Yeah. It's just a weird. We as a society need to figure this VAR thing out. It's gonna take a while.
It's probably not our biggest challenge in the world right now, but it's one of those, like, if you had called it a handball and you went to review it, you couldn't have overturned it. I'm good with that. But you went to the review and you called it a goal and you overturned it. There was no reason.
Democracy is dying and all, but we got to figure out the VAR situation. Also, another problem in our country, the U.S. national team is also sucking right now. Lost to Panama in the Nations League and then lost the third place game to Canada, which is another national rivalry apparently at the moment. Carrie, what do you think of it?
Well, Jesse Marsh will be hearing from my lawyers for not playing the song.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we don't have many opportunities to have a sporting player play at the national team level. There's a Mike stat that we've had one every year. We are limited on our chances to continue that stat.
Seems like this happens a lot. They'll take a player from us and then not use them. Like,
yeah,
our players go, but they're not good enough to get on the field.
I already don't like him. He's just making it easier to not like.
You don't like Jesse?
No.
No, I don't really either.
Jesse's girl?
He abandoned us.
No, I do not.
Boo.
Thad, did you watch the Yanks lose to Canada?
No, I was at the Comets game.
Did you watch the Yanks lose to Panama?
No, I was at a different game.
Okay, can you tell me why? I think it was like, I saw this past week. It's something like 10 years since Taylor Twellman's famous "What Are We Doing" rant, and we're still having the same conversations. Are you getting worried about 26, Thad? We're getting closer. The team is still losing to teams that we shouldn't lose to.
But no, this is BS because this is the first time we've lost this tournament.
Yes.
Previously, the U.S. won every one of them, and they fired that guy. So, yeah, they got rid of Berhalter, who is doing relatively well with a really shitty team in the past. So he's turning that team around. But yet this amazing, wonderful coach from across the world can't get it done.
That's got some harsh words for Poach. You're not on the Poach train.
And then, you can also say the same thing about the women. Vlaco won every one of the She Believes Cups he was in. No, Emma Hayes can't do it.
It's almost like it's the players.
Yes. I think Carrie and I are doing the same face. Yeah.
For club and country, our players suck.
You tied it back to a previous conversation. Well done. You're a natural at this show, Carrie.
She gets bonus points.
So you're not worried about? Oh, go ahead, Robert. Or go ahead.
So, do you guys feel like the USMNT has been like a little bit snake bitten ever since Jurgen screwed over Benny? Do you feel like it's karma?
That's the origin
for the Yanks for like allowing Benny to get like screwed over repeatedly by the angry German?
No.
Okay. Well, for the sake of the bit, Thad,
they are snake bitten though. Since around that time, I'm not blaming it on the.
Oh, since they fired Berhalter.
No.
Berhalter,
since they hired Jurgen.
Look, Berhalter had too many G's in his name. Okay, you can't trust the guy.
There's no G's
Now-
in Berhalter.
How many G's are in Greg?
How many is it normally in Greg?
2.
He went one above.
It's an
So
absurd
if Benny
choice.
starts showing up and playing for Canada like he did for Des Moines, then we'll know where Snake's been.
By the way, SKC2 got robbed in that game. They were
Big time.
outplayed by that older team, but
They were not outplayed.
The winning goal was like 10 feet. The guy was 5 yards offside.
He wasn't that far, but he was very clearly off.
That was like 5 yards. It wasn't even remotely close. The assistant referee was just not looking. Go look at the Mike stat picture, okay? It's out there. Go look at it. It'll make you not sleep as well tonight.
But Cody was onside when there were no referees. So, you know,
Yeah,
go figure.
They got screwed because with that wind, the old guys were able to bunker in the first half and just suffer in, and they used their experience that they were able to keep. Even then, SKC2 had a couple of good opportunities, hit the post or the crossbar.
Yeah.
And then in the second half, SKC2 was actually able to dribble into that wind and play it fairly well. But it was Benny dove in the box to draw one penalty.
Classic Benny dive.
And then Leroy Nzoguzzi, who was well off, not maybe 15 yards or whatever, but he was well off, and he dove in the box to draw the second one, and that was their 2 goals.
That wind was crazy. People would kick it as hard as they can forward, and it would end up behind them. It was
Did you guys listen to the live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you hear the cauldron?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could hear all 3 of them coming up with their chants. It was the same chant. They just changed the words every time. I almost had to turn it off.
Yeah. It was like speeding. Okay. Give us a break.
Yeah, that was more creative than the actual normal cauldron. So give them. I mean, they
true.
achieved.
That's true. The state of the cauldron is not very good at the moment. So Thad, you're not worried about the state of the national team? You think that they're on the right track still, and that we can do some damage in 26?
I don't think you got that out of what I said. I think I was talking about how bad that they regressed under Pochettino.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know because I haven't watched the games, because sometimes you just get unlucky and lose freaking games, right? But because the stats I know against Panama were like really good, like percentage wise, all the possession and shots and all that shit was really good, and bad positioning on Matt Turner and Tim Ream.
God. Oh my
St.
God.
Louis legend Tim Ream.
My God.
Bad positioning and bad coverage on those 2 guys on that first one. They give up the goal in the 94th minute against Panama.
That's another screenshot everyone should go look at. Matt Turner's positioning on the goal that went right by where the path of the ball went directly into where his foot should have been standing if he was just had proper positioning on that goal.
And then to feel better about yourself, go watch the goal line save from Lorena in the current game.
Yeah.
That was magnificent. She did great. The ball was almost across the line. She got it, pushed it into the post, knocked it out with the other hand, rammed her hand into the post, went out, got back up, and continued playing.
It's fun to have a confident goalkeeper.
Hey, Pulskamp did have one very good save, and not in the way that I'm stretching in my own opinion. No, it was a very good save from point blank range that he did. Quick hand.
Might have been
Carrie.
2, actually.
Got one quick hand up, deflected it over the bar. That was beautiful. David is saying 2. Yes, there were 2 pretty good saves. One was as good of a save as I like my keepers to make.
And then he pushed another one right out in front of him for Aaron.
Yeah, that was a
Oh,
header.
come on. You can't
Blank
blame him
range.
for that.
Like, that is not
Come on.
his fault.
He could have popped it up over to the side.
It could have
come
gone
on.
somewhere. I'm with you on that one, Thad. I know it was a really tough play. Really, the shot had a lot of pace on it, but I mean that's the job of a keeper. It's got to be deflected elsewhere.
That's why you take those tough shots in practice, right? I mean, come on.
That's right.
Again, I'm not down on John. It's just he can be better at that stuff. Should be better at that stuff someday. But the current, Lorena did great. Timois scored a goal.
Yeah.
Lowe had a celly.
What'd she do?
Bicycle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had to listen to the post-game presser to find out what that was.
She did like a little weird scoop with her foot in the middle of it, which
I think that was the kickstand.
She was putting the kickstand down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that
no,
was.
That makes more sense now.
She like put the kickstand down and like, hey, get on the bike with me because it's a tandem bike and we can all ride. Get on the bike together. And then she took off and went off the other way. And
see, I was used to just laying my bike on the side. Never used the kickstand.
My bike doesn't have a kickstand. I just leaned it on my wife's. And neither one of us rides it, so it doesn't matter.
Low is a Kansas City treasure. All right, Thad, Dark Days. Can you give us something prophetic to end the show? Make us happy. Give us something.
A knot does not untangle itself.
Sporting!
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Some point of strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in.